think we get a countdown. Oh. Hi, my name is Willow Nichols. I am a student in the Carlson School of Management's part-time MBA program. We are here today to support Give to the Max Day. It's Minnesota's answer to Giving Tuesday and one of the biggest fundraising days for nonprofits in the state. So far today, we've raised $19,022.50. And that's fantastic. So many people are donating and our expectations have been exceeded. All of the donations go to support Carlson School of Management's Dean's Fund, which provides direct support to students at the school. So your donations make a big difference for the people who receive that support. Today, a few of our world-class faculty members are here to give back to the community, sharing proven insights that can make our local businesses stronger. So joining us now is Professor Kathleen Voss, who is a distinguished McKnight University professor and the Land O'Lakes Chair in Marketing at the Carlson School of Management. Having had a class with Dr. Voss, I can say she is a fountain of knowledge. And she's with us here today to discuss the importance of self-control and its importance for success. So take it away, Kathleen.
Thank you, Willow. Hi, everybody. I am so delighted to be here and be a part of Give to the Max Day. I'm also delighted to be able to share with you, I guess, some of the research that I've done on self-control. Self-control is something that I'm very passionate about. It sort of seems like a topic that wouldn't lend itself to passion, but for me, at least, it does. People use self-control all the time. You use it whenever you are sensing you're about to say something, do something, or react in a certain way that you don't really want to do. And then when you don't want to do that, you either suppress that impulse or you stop that behavior or you substitute something that you'd rather be doing instead. So we see examples of this all the time in our everyday lives. And that's one of the reasons that for me, as a scientist, I find self-control so very interesting.
Can you tell us some of the reasons that you feel like it's important specifically for business professionals?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that because I've been thinking a lot about this recently. And I think there are like many keys to success in business, but at an individual level, being a person with good self-control is absolutely at the top. When you are in a business setting, when you're in a workplace setting, when you're leading, and when you're participating, you need to use self-control so that you can overcome your own like personal, sometimes sort of like self-interested biases in order to do what's best for the company, best for your customers, best for your team. And people use all self-control when they push themselves hard on projects that they really don't want to do, when they get up early to take that phone call from Europe, when I think one of the more interesting cases is when people use self-control to manage their emotions. Mm-hmm. And that's something that in some senses, I think an aspect of self-control we don't think enough about, just how much we use self-control so that we don't have an inappropriate emotional reaction or say the wrong thing. So I think those are some of the kind of basic ways that we see self-control in everyday settings in business. Yeah, and of course, there are tons more.
I can think of a lot of scenarios where I've been in maybe a little bit tense, uncomfortable meeting, and maybe some people were not practicing self-control as well as they might have wanted to.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about self-control's effect on decision-making in consumer behavior?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's my specialty. The work that I've done really kind of links up self-control and decision-making in important ways. So one of the models that I've been working off of for, I don't know, like 10 or 15 years looks at self-control and decision-making both as being something that's kind of limited inside of us. So each time you use self-control, you have less of it available in the next period or the next moment. And similarly, when you make decisions, you can't just go around making high quality decisions all day long. With each successive decision that you make, then your ability to make good decisions in a later moment then gets worsened. And that to me is an insight that I'm still kind of trying to fully understand, because I think it kind of tees up a lot of things for us, like understanding why people do the wrong thing, say the wrong thing, make bad decisions. And a lot of that, I believe, comes about because their days so far had been filled with a lot of self-control uses and a lot of decision making. Just from like a time perspective, we see people losing self-control, failing at self-control, making bad decisions later in the day than earlier in the day. And of course, that's due to lots of things. But one of the reasons that we've tracked down in my research is because people have been using self-control a lot and making lots of decisions. And I think it's like an insight that I hope makes sense to people. And on the other hand, is not like immediately intuitive. So I hope that kind of by doing this kind of research and bringing these kind of findings out to everyone, to business leaders as we are, that can help us to manage our lives and understand a little bit better why people do the sometimes bad, unwise things that they do.
Yeah, so it's almost like there's a self-control fatigue where when you're pushing yourself throughout the day, it's easier to give in to the ends.
Yep, that is exactly the idea, that you get fatigued. You get this like sort of psychological fatigue, and that is that precursor, it precedes having problems with self-control and having problems controlling yourself and what you say and how you act and making like very strong, high-quality decisions.
So make your good decisions in the morning is the idea.
Yeah. Honestly, that's part of it, right? Like that. I mean, different people will differ a little bit, but just in general, front load those decisions. And if you have something that you really need to get done, like that, like you have a project and you just dread it and you don't love working on it, then to the extent that you can, just try to hop on that in the morning and use the self-control that you have towards the things that you really want to prioritize. So I think a lot about this model that I've been using, and then how people can understand it as a way to organize their lives and like make sure that they get done what they need to.
Mm-hmm. So first thing in the morning, I stay in bed and go to the gym, then I'm already out. Okay. So building on that idea a little bit, how can self-control help us to plan more effectively and to make better decisions? Or how can we take self-control into account to plan more effectively and make better decisions?
Yeah, I think part of it is exactly what we were just talking about. Like, one of the things I try to tell people, and I also try to tell myself, is that if you understand that you don't have unlimited abilities, like in a given period of time, to just execute and decide on sort of everything that you want to do, then you are not able to like organize your life in the most appropriate ways. And so if you understand this model, then kind of thinking like, what do I really want to get done? And for me, that often like is a little bit of a self-control problem itself, because there are the things we want to put off. And so it takes a sort of a little bit of work to say no, like tomorrow I'm going to get up and I'm going to start on that project, and I'm just going to power through and get like one major part of it done. And I think that is very helpful, at least for me, and I've heard as well from other people, as a way to try to organize your life and harness the self-control that you have to get the things done that you most want.
That makes a lot of sense. So do you feel like because you research these topics and you research people's behavior, do you feel like that makes you sort of more insulated from these kinds of challenges that people face, just being more self-aware? Or is it just as hard for anybody to resist temptation or practice self-control in those scenarios?
Well, I would say that I could use it more often, but I think I do. I think I do in some kind of crucial ways, like that, what we just talked about, kind of prioritizing what you want to get done in the morning. Of course, what I need to do is use self-control so that I don't get derailed by stupid things in the morning, like, unnecessary emails that I end up tackling that I don't need to. But so it takes a little bit of self-discipline kind of to get going. But once I like to do kind of create more habits and routines, and that actually in some ways like lessens the decision-making load, because you don't need to make a decision if you have a habit that you're just going to get up, like grab some coffee and then dial into the thing you really want to get done. And so I would say still, of course, fall prey to a lot of the same things. I mean, it's part of just like being, you know, just kind of operating in everyday life. But at the same time, I do try to take some strategic steps so that I can try to use my self-control and decision-making energy to the best of my abilities. Not perfect, but I try.
Awesome. Okay, so the last question we have today, how can impulsive behavior negatively impact a business or an individual in the workplace? So in other words, how can a lack of self-control have a negative impact?
Yeah. So what we see are kind of like two main components, at least in the immediately in the workplace. One is people don't get the work done that they should. And what a typical problem when it comes to like self-control and not being able to get the work done is people procrastinate. Procrastination is a classic self-control problem, and it's an indicator of self-control failure. Some people think, and maybe some people who are in the audience here with us today may think that they do their best work on deadline and that they do their best work at the 11th hour. And the research is extremely clear on this. You don't. So we see people being impulsive. And it's funny to think about procrastination as an impulsive problem, but it is, because you basically give in to what you want to do now, as opposed to doing the thing that is good for you in the long run. And that's like a very prototypical way of understanding self-control. So there's that. There's kind of just like getting the work done. The other thing is interpersonally. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I talk to firms, I talk to leaders, I talk to anybody who's involved with business, and some of the biggest gripes and like really kind of problem-causing behaviors are those that happen because people are too impulsive interpersonally. They react in a way that is just unkind, unwarranted, unnecessary, often without having all of the facts, or they sort of spout out, talk over people, etc. All of those are signs of self-control problems and impulsivity that really end up kind of wreaking havoc on a quality workplace environment.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, I remember one of the things we said in your class is people aren't dumb, the world is hard. So
yes,
cut them a little slack, right?
Yes, exactly, right. Kind of a little slack, like the world is hard. And also I think people, when they behave impulsively, almost, it's not quite by definition, but often they behave without having full information. And like a lot of times that turns out to be not the right reaction, you know, even if you had that reaction. So I just think you're right. Like, it's like the world is hard and you don't probably have all the facts at hand. And so like cut people a little slack. Sometimes easier said than done. I understand.
Especially if it's late in the day and you've already used all of your self-control up.
Yeah, dealing with all the other things, right? Yes, exactly.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us today and sharing some of the insights from your research. We do have a few donors that we would like to thank specifically: James Marley, Caitlin Swenson, and Steve Norcutt. Again, your donations today go to the Dean's Fund at the Carlson School of Management, and those funds go to directly support students at the school who need it. So thank you again for that so much.
Thanks to all of our donors. Awesome.
For those who would like to make a gift or follow our progress, a link to the Carlson School's crowdfunding page can be found in the comments section. And I think that's all we have today. So thank you, everyone. And I hope everyone learned a lot.
Yeah, thank you, Willow. Thanks to everybody who's donating. We appreciate it.
Bye-bye.